Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. What we're going to make are cookies. We're going to make the traditional Snowball cookies, or some people call them Russian tea cakes. Just a little bit of a change in what I'm going to put the filler in for this particular cookie. And of course you can use your traditional pecans, your whatever type of nut that you like, but mine is just a little switch up because I'm going to be using dark raisins today. But they are Snowball cookies, so you can make that little adjustment if you want. Now, I no longer put the recipe below the video, and I'm sorry about that, but hopefully, again, I'll be clear enough and tell you slow enough that you can, jot it down if you want the recipe, okay? And it's a really easy one and a quick one. And for you folks that have seen some of my work on my channel, I like very quick and easy recipes, but I like them to be good recipes and taste good. And this particular cookie fits all those requirements, okay? So let's get started. We want to start off with 1 cup of butter. Now, I have had it at room temperature, so it's in a softened state. I cut it up into little cubes because I think it's quicker to cream it and break it up. And it's a shorter amount of time for me to keep you watching the video. I just realized I do not have my spatula. All right, sorry about that. I thought it was ready to go. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to cream and start to break this up. Now, if you prefer to use your hand mixer, feel free. Again, I always say in my videos, I prefer for the majority of my recipes the stand-up because it's faster, it's quicker, not to keep you folks too long watching, okay? So I'm going to break that up. I'm also going to give you a heads up every time that I turn on the mixer because it can be loud on your end, okay? So here's the heads up. All right, again, I would spend more time doing that and probably at a lower speed. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to put in with the beaten or cream butter is a 1/4 cup, I'm going to do this one next, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, okay? And I'm just going to turn it on for a second. Now, what you're also going to need is a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar and cream that in, okay? And I'm going to warn you about the sound. Again, it bears repeating. Would I go that high of a speed? No. I would spend 2 to 3 minutes creaming that so it becomes very light, very fluffy, and pale yellow in color. All right. Now, I do want to put next in is vanilla. You'll need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So, warn you about the sound. Now, on my particular mixer, everything kind of sticks to the sides, and sometimes you can't get to the very bottom, so that's what I'm doing now, is just to bring it all together and check it out. And I'm going to turn it on at a little bit of a high speed just to bring this all together. So warn you about the sound. And again, spend that extra 2 minutes or so to make sure everything is put together and smooth. Now, another thing that you'll want to do though is that you want to have at least a 1/2 cup or even a little more of powdered sugar on the side, so when these cookies come out of the oven and they slightly cool enough for you to roll them in this sugar, okay? So set aside a half a cup of powdered sugar, and that's what I have over here. Now, to talk about dry ingredients, you will need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to start it off on low, so of course it doesn't go flour all over me in the kitchen. So we'll start that at a low speed, and we'll just put a little at a time. Warn you about the sound. Now, this is the part that once that you have it combined enough, then you do want to raise your speed, because you want it to really incorporate and pull together that you get a cookie dough ball. Okay, so I'm going to raise the sound, and then within a minute or so I will be adding 1 cup of dry raisins. Now keep in mind, if you want to stay more to the traditional, then use 1 cup of chopped nuts that you prefer, whether they're walnuts or macadamias or whatever, or pecans. Put those in. But again, today the folks that I'm making these for can't eat nuts, but they love raisins, so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this today by using the raisins. 1 cup, whether you do nuts, raisins, or whatever combination that you come up with. So, warn you about the sound. Okay, what will happen is that the more that you mix it, or I find at a higher speed, it becomes very crumbly. And it looks like you've done something wrong, but you really haven't. Just raise your speed, and before long you will see that your consistency will be a cookie ball or cookie dough ball. And it also, by raising the speed, will clean the sides of, especially the stand-up for me, it cleans everything off the sides and brings it all together. But I'm going to now put in that cup of raisins, and I put them in at a little at a time, but due to the video I'm going to put that whole cup in. And now I'm just going to bring it together, warn you about the sound, and again it's going to be at a much lower speed than what I'm doing, okay? Okay, and what's nice about that is that, you know, some people do prefer to put, you know, the nuts or whatever, and then put them in by hand. Excuse me. But I like to let the mixer do that for me, because I find that it, you know, it really evens out, and that the raisins get distributed all through the dough. And you know, you can work your dough just a little bit in case you see something that wasn't you know, mixed in well or whatever, but you don't want to overwork this dough ball either, because I think the cookies then become very dense and very heavy. So I am going to now just get a baking pan ready, and you don't have to grease it, but I have mine lined with parchment paper. You can use your mats, your silicone mats, or whatever that you prefer. And I'm using about a 1-inch scoop. Now, you don't have one, you don't like a scoop, you don't have to use one. You can just roll this dough into about a 1-inch ball, and you want to separate the balls within about 2 inches, okay? I like to use the cookie scoop because I find that all the cookies, they bake up more evenly. Now, I will tell you that all you'd have to do is, whether you take it out with a spoon and roll it in your hand to make a nice ball, a round ball, and then just put them down, again, about 2 inches apart. Now, what I have found that what I like to do is, to save time, is just to take the ball and, without rolling it completely, it'll have a little bit of a flat bottom to it. Now, if you don't like the looks of that, you certainly don't have to do that. Just roll them in the ball. But I find out that once you put and roll them in powdered sugar, they really come out looking very pretty. But again, if you want to, then go ahead, please roll them in a complete ball between your hands, okay? And I'm not going to bore you by putting them down on the paper. Everyone knows how to do that. Now, once that you have all the balls on and they're 2 inches apart, preheated oven you need for 350 degrees. And it can take you anywhere from 12 minutes to 14 minutes. As you know, all our ovens set up differently, so you're going to know best on your end. I like checking mine at, believe it or not, about 9 minutes or so, or 10 minutes. I quickly look, don't leave the oven door open very long at all, and just get a visual to see how they're doing. Because I really find that this type of cookie, you don't want it too dry. And especially if you're using nuts already, so I just try not to over bake them, all right? So now what we're going to do is I'm going to wash my hands quickly because I was working with all this butter and everything on my hands. And I want to show you the finished product now. And I want to explain a little bit. When they come out and you put them on a cooling rack, you want to just wait a few minutes because they will be hot to the touch. You don't want them completely cold either, so that they're slightly warm. And then take the ball, okay, and then roll it in your powdered sugar, okay, like that. Now, once that you've done that, you will find maybe by the time you serve them, they might even need a second roll of this sugar, okay? And if you do, they just look absolutely prettier. And this is how they turn out. And I have some of here with flat bottoms, okay? And I'll try to find one that I've rolled, but there's so many here. Now, you are going to get, here's one that's been rolled completely in a ball. There's so little difference whether you roll them in the ball or do them the way that I showed you with my scoop. That's going to be up to you. And these will render you about 4 dozen cookies if you use the size that I'm showing you. Of course, if you make them smaller, you're going to yield more cookies. You make them larger, you're going to get less. But also keep in mind, if you make them smaller or larger, you'll need to adjust your oven times and your baking times, okay? So there you have it. You've got your traditional snowballs, or a lot of people call them Russian tea cakes. And it's quick, it's easy. And in fact, why don't I just thought of that? I'm going to grab a knife here and cut into one to show you, hopefully, okay? It will be a semi-dry center. They are crumbly, but yes, when you bite into them, you'll get that delicious raisin or nuts, whatever that you have. Or also, these are great with chocolate chips. I also make them with chocolate chips. But anyway, because they're butter, they will just literally just melt in your mouth. And the cookie itself will have a hard surface on the top and the bottom. But as I said, when they're broken into, they are crumbly, yet they have a little bit of enough moisture in them that they just melt in your mouth. They really do. So if you try this recipe and you like it, well, let me hear from you. But please remind that, and I'd like to remind rather, is that I solely put my videos on YouTube. And that is one of the reasons I no longer put the recipe on. I got tired, and I'm not alone on this. There are many, many others. But I got tired of seeing my work pinned and posted and claimed by other people. And when people have written to me, I can't answer. But if you watch me on YouTube, you write to me on YouTube, I'll get your question and I'll get your comment, and I will do my very best to answer in a timely fashion. Now, if you're so inclined and you'd like to subscribe to my channel, boy, I can't thank you enough. Or give it a like or ring the bell. Thank you again for taking the time to watch Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.